Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. Luo Feng was observing Emperor Qing, and through the domain formed by the Star Tower, he could sense the sharpness contained within Emperor Qing. Even his own endless blood river was not certain to withstand that terrifying sharpness. Not unworthy of being the only one above God King in the land of origin of this era. Luo Feng thought silently. The ancestors of the two countries and the ancestor of the East Extreme Domain do not belong to this era. His talent is a cut above the rest, far surpassing other cultivators. Luo Feng understood this. Not counting himself, Emperor Qing was the most terrifying of his contemporaries, followed by the ultimate realm lord of 10,000 realms, and then by Emperor Fu, Emperor Ming, Wind City Empress, Fire Ancestor, and so on. Emperor Qing only had eyes for Luo Feng, not caring about the sector beast at all. Because the minimum threshold for teleporting away from the source world is an ultimate realm life form. Outside of the source world, there's a convergence of elites from many source worlds and countless other worlds. In that place, being at the ultimate realm is only the basic level, so he naturally didn't care about a sector beast. I originally thought that in our era of the Land of Origin, only I and the Lord of 10,000 realms emerged. Emperor Qing's eyes were enthusiastic. Who would have expected that as the Land of Origin gradually entered its twilight, the galaxy ruler appeared? Haha, it truly is a joyous occasion. Being from the same Land of Origin, they were obviously the most suitable companions in life and death. Having a trustworthy companion during adventures in the outside world is too precious. If you don't mind, I would like to call you Galaxy Brother. Emperor Qing smiled as he looked at Luo Feng. Of course that's okay. Luo Feng said. The 13 emperors of the Flame Wind ancient country all have different ways of doing things. Emperor Qing belongs to the most dazzling kind, with exceptional talent, outstanding above all. He disdains primordial bloodline, disdains devouring creatures, and other devious paths. By just comprehending the operations of the heaven and earth rules, he naturally became an ultimate realm being. Even while cultivating within the Land of Origin, he broke through the ultimate realm and reached above God King. It was indeed the case that resources helped him reach this point. But other emperors and monarchs of the two great imperial clans, with similar vast resources, have not even produced one ultimate realm being. This shows just how terrifying Emperor Qing's talent is. As for Emperor Yuan's matter, it was his own fault. Emperor Qing didn't care. His greedy nature, repeatedly devouring countless creatures, has caused a lot of trouble. Such a troublemaker and waste, according to my personality, should have been killed long ago. But the rules of the Flame Wind ancient country royal family were set by the ancestor, and I couldn't readily change them. Luo Feng listened with some surprise. Emperor Qing did not come to pick a quarrel but instead thought Emperor Yuan deserved to die. The ancestor was lenient, believing that the great Tao is immeasurable and need not be overly constrained. Emperor Qing shook his head with a smile. Let's not talk about that. I came today also to invite Galaxy Brother to leave the Land of Origin and join me in adventures outside. Invite me to join forces? Luo Feng was a little surprised. In the outside adventures, dangers are everywhere. Emperor Qing looked at Luo Feng. Alien races are not reliable and can betray at any time. You and I are both from the Land of Origin. Even if we move on to the next era of the Land of Origin, we will still have avatars staying in the Land of Origin, destined to coexist for endless eons, so naturally, we are the most trustworthy. Like primogenitor Yang Feng and Thunder Ancestor, they have been lifelong companions through endless eons, supporting each other, and only then did they reach today. Emperor Qing looked at Luo Feng. I really need a companion who is trustworthy and also has enough strength. I heard that teleporting away from the Land of Origin will lead to different places. Luo Feng said, it's not certain that I can meet up with you, Emperor Qing, right? I have the primordial space coordinates, which can lock onto the destination. I can send out an avatar to teleport with you, so we can teleport to the world where I am. Emperor Qing said, when I first teleported, it was to this world, where I have rooted myself for many long years, and I have established some foundations. Joining forces with me, Your start will certainly be much smoother. Luo Feng was quite tempted upon hearing this. But he himself was not even an ultimate realm life form yet, not qualified to leave the land of origin. The land of origin is too small for both of us. Emperor Qing urged passionately, outside the source world. There are strong beings from a multitude of other source worlds and countless other worlds. That's where we should be going. I am currently cultivating a secret technique. Luo Feng thought for a moment and then said, I'll wait until this secret technique is mastered before heading outside the land of origin. Cultivating a secret technique? Emperor Qing asked, how long will that take? At their level of cultivation, if they devoted themselves to cultivating a powerful secret technique, it would be quite normal to take hundreds of thousands or even millions of eons. About 1,000 eons, Luo Feng said. Luo Feng received 3 kinds of ultimate realm primordial bloodline biological materials and naturally wanted to elevate the world life form to an even higher level. Those ultimate realm primordial bloodline creatures, despite their low intelligence, have such strength. If Luo Feng succeeds, by relying solely on his physical body he may well match those above God King. Coupled with a deeper accumulation of the great Tao of life and death, Luo Feng felt that by then, he could try to venture outside the source world to gain some insight. The most crucial point is, to pass through the teleportation channel, you must at least be an ultimate realm life form. This is the threshold set by the universe. Only about 1,000 eons. Upon hearing this, Emperor Qing laughed, no rush, no rush. Galaxy brother, cultivate well and perfect your secret technique, and then we can set off together. Luo Feng nodded. According to the intelligence on Emperor Qing and from their current interaction, Luo Feng found that Emperor Qing was suitable to be a companion. Most importantly, both sides are from the land of origin. In the future, they would have to coexist in the land of origin for a long time, and they also had to consider their friends and disciples. Coming from the same source world, the possibility of betrayal was extremely low. If Galaxy brother doesn't mind, shall we spar a bit? Emperor Qing looked at Luo Feng. Our confrontation will also show the forces of the land of origin that they dare not make enemies with Galaxy brother again. Spar? Sure. Luo Feng was also quite looking forward to it. Good, then let's go outside the continent, into the universe ocean, Emperor Qing said. That way, we won't involve the innocent. Luo Feng nodded. Whoosh, whoosh. They came one after another, traversing the vast and remote distances to arrive outside the land of origin, within the universe ocean. This vast expanse of the universe ocean, close to the land of origin, was already devoid of any creatures. Please. Emperor Qing said with a smile, he who had traveled and battled in the outside world, encountering countless strong beings from different realms. Under the power constraints of the land of origin, Emperor Qing naturally felt no pressure. He was now merely curious about the strength of this future companion. He only wished for his companion to be as strong as possible. Luo Feng stood there. Be careful. Luo Feng brimmed with fighting spirit, such an opponent was rare indeed. With a single thought, his form instantly transformed into an endless blood river, which roiling and spread to an infinite expanse in a flash. The scope of the blood river enveloped its own realm. The blood river's length and width had no end. Those without sufficient strength would never be able to fly out of its bounds. Break. Emperor Qing stood still, yet from him radiated terrifying sword lights that cut in all directions. These sword lights were condensed to the extreme, cutting through all obstacles, even severing the operating rules. Even though Luo Feng's endless blood river was thick, each current like a world of its own, it was still being cut through by these sword lights. 19 sword lights that could cut through all things even managed to slice open the obstructions of the blood river realm, reaching the adjacent universe ocean. Boom tilde 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 the universe ocean was struck, creating void chasms, and even the membrane of the source world had long cracks. The might of these 19 terrifying sword lights, unobscured and flagrant, instantly alarmed every godly king in the land of origin. This power. Every godly king in the land of origin felt a heart-palpitating sense of power that could easily annihilate them, bursting forth at the edge of the continent, within a part of the universe ocean. Instantly, they each tried to pry into the scene. The powerful godly kings could cast secret techniques to watch from afar. The weaker godly kings needed to use the images from the Flame-Wind Pavilion and Thunderclap Commerce to peer into the scene. The galaxy ruler and Emperor Qing have clashed. Is Emperor Qing stepping up for the Flame-Wind ancient country? Is he avenging Di Yuan? Various powers were stirred up. Emperor Qing has made his move. Di Yang, Di Kong, Di Wu, and other monarchs were very excited. They had full confidence in Emperor Qing. Emperor Qing once said that he could do nothing against the galaxy ruler, so why would he still make a move? Di Fu watched the scene from afar. Luo Feng. Among the many godly kings watching, there was also the mountain-sitting guest. The mountain-sitting guest had long known the identity of the black-robed, golden-faced figure. Luo Feng's strength could easily suppress the combined forces of 8 monarchs. I wonder how he will fare against Emperor Qing. Although mountain-sitting guest was somewhat nervous, he still had confidence in his disciple. This disciple of his, with such exceptional talent, was even above Emperor Qing and the Lord of 10,000 realms. Merely hundreds of age cycles upon arrival at the land of origin, he had grown so much. How terrifying was this talent and potential? Within the universe ocean near the land, Luo Feng could naturally sense the gazes of numerous godly kings watching from afar. He also understood Emperor Qing's approach to make a bigger scene, to make the various powers truly understand the strength of the galaxy ruler. If you have strength, you must let them witness. Emperor Qing stood there. Once they see it clearly, they will become very obedient. Outside the endless blood river stood no less than 19 sword lights, naturally forming a massive sword array. Brother Emperor Qing's sword array is indeed formidable, able to effortlessly tear through my blood river, Luo Feng remarked. Water flow fears not being torn asunder. Emperor Qing laughed. I have struck 19 swords, yet your endless blood river hasn't weakened in the slightest. But next, I shall get serious. This sword array, named 3000 Kill Array, draws from the core mysteries of an ancient witch array, integrated into one. Although it is restricted by the supreme rules, its power is limited. However, its profound mysteries can be fully displayed, Emperor Qing said smilingly. Please receive my strike. Upon finishing his words, the immense sword array suddenly erupted with light. Countless sword lights converged and rotated, turning the entire formation into black and white hues, seeking to annihilate the entire blood river. Yet the endless blood river was immensely thick. Despite the black and white sword lights' efforts to rend it asunder, tendrils of blood infiltrated the sword lights, causing them to collapse. A Tao of life blood river? Emperor Qing determined in an instant. Each strand of the blood river's life force is terrifyingly powerful. Once contaminated, it can even corrode and destroy my sword lights. Emperor Qing stood there, naturally gathering endless sword light into his body. He himself seemed to be a sword, and even the vast blood river could not erode him the slightest bit. 3000 Kill Array, Heavenly Pillar Realm. With a single thought from Emperor Qing, the sword array transformed immediately. Amidst the endless blood river, pillars of sword light converged and towered into the sky. Each heavenly pillar was immensely majestic, infinitely tall, naturally supporting a vast world. 36 heavenly pillars. Luo Feng looked at the scene in front of him in amazement. In this vast world, with 36 heavenly pillars supporting the sky, the torrential and heavy endless blood river was completely trapped. Brother Galaxy, these are the 36 heavenly pillars I have comprehended from the heavenly pillar realm. A slight glimpse of understanding integrated into the formation, Emperor Qing said with a smile. What do you think of its power? Using 36 heavenly pillars as the foundation, propping up a world, this world sword array is indeed extraordinary. Luo Feng felt the endless murderous intent contained within the 36 pillars of sword light and laughed. However, my blood river is not that simple. Rise. Luo Feng's vast spiritual will merged with the entire endless blood river. In this moment, the entire endless blood river was like a giant python, and with a fierce swish of its tail, the entire river lashed at one of the pillars of sword light. Boom tilde tilde tilde. At that instant, the sword light pillar trembled violently, numerous cracks appearing. Such profound mystery hidden within this blood river. Emperor Qing was secretly shocked. The seemingly simple lash of the blood river's tail actually carried an incessant onslaught of an endless might. not simply an outburst of power from land of origin. It was a continuous outburst of power, either with a sharp cutting force, a soft penetrating force, or the most basic crumble, a continuous unleashing of maximal power, coupled with different profound mysteries. Just by one lash, the heavenly pillar already showed cracks. Boom, boom, boom. The vast blood river, like a serpent, rolled and lashed wildly, causing the sword-light heavenly pillars to begin to topple, utterly unable to hold steady. What might is this? Is this the strength of Emperor Qing and galaxy ruler? The other godly kings from land of origin watched from afar, including emperor levels from Flame Wind ancient country and monarchs from Thunder ancient country, all feeling suffocated. Those infinitely tall pillars of sword light, that vast and unparalleled blood river, were forces they could not resist. This is the power above God-King level. Emperor Qing and galaxy ruler are too terrifying. These godly kings shuddered. The sector beast from Tianmu Kingdom also watched from afar. No matter how hard I cultivate, I can't break the bottleneck. I reached the ultimate realm by eating and drinking, but I am forever trapped in the ultimate realm. Compared to these two, I'm far behind. From the beginning, it hadn't relied on its own comprehension for cultivation. Suddenly having to rely on itself to advance from ultimate to above God King was naturally highly improbable. Above God King, Lord of 10,000 realms, was also watching from afar, on the basis of a complete great Tao, drawing upon other mysteries, integrating them into one's own Tao, taking the Tao one step further. But this step is too difficult. A complete Tao is already perfect. Integrating other mysteries often becomes gilding the lily. The power does not increase but decreases instead. Lord of 10,000 realms was indeed able to integrate some mysteries into his Tao. The power could increase slightly, but it was clearly not a qualitative chain. Perhaps I should leave the land of origin and take a look at other worlds, the Lord of 10,000 realms thought. Before, the only one stronger than him was Emperor Qing, but now there was another galaxy ruler. The Lord of 10,000 realms developed a desire to venture forth. Emperor Qing watched the vast and torrential blood river, roaring wildly, sweeping everything aside. Even his own 36 heavenly pillars of sword light collapsed one after another. Unable to resist this fearsome might, he couldn't help but smile. Brother Galaxy, your blood river indeed has extraordinary power, so I will display the strongest form of this 3,000 kill array, 3,000 world. As soon as he spoke, billions of sword lights appeared, full of endless mysteries, naturally forming a grand formation. Achem. Luo Feng's expression changed slightly. Within a vast expanse, a world of chirping birds and fragrant flowers appeared, with endless land, skies, and mountains rising and falling. Even some ordinary life was being born. Life is being born? Luo Feng was shocked. 3,000 worlds can evolve everything in the world. Although it is far from the operation of the supreme rules, it's also considered a slight glimpse of understanding. Emperor Qing appeared in this world, smiling at Luo Feng. Within this world, the endless blood river almost spanned half of the world, but it was suppressed by invisible rules. The whole world's power was suppressing the blood river, making the tumultuous river struggle. The entire world's power was suppressing this blood river. Hiss 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 tilde tilde tilde. Within the blood river, sword lights flickered, annihilating strands of the river's power. Yet the blood river was filled with endless vitality. As one strand of power was annihilated, another would naturally recover. Within this endless blood river, every movement is strenuous. I am completely suppressed. Luo Feng was shocked. This was the endless blood river driven by the secret patterns within the Star Tower, yet it was suppressed. Brother Luo He, your blood river is indeed profound, and in terms of realm, it is also at the early stage of Divine Emperor, said Emperor Qing. Within the power limits of land of origin, although I can have a slight advantage, I cannot harm you in the least. The blood river that spanned most of the world thrived with terrifying vitality. Unexpectedly, within the land of origin, I have been suppressed. Luo Feng laughed. Brother Emperor Qing, I shall give my all. You should also bring out your secret treasure. Give your all. Emperor Qing was momentarily stunned. Come forth. Luo Feng stood amidst the endless blood river and shouted. Suddenly, within the endless blood river, a dark and deep 9-story tower began to emerge. Boom tilde 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 tilde. As this 9-story tower appeared, the surrounding 3,000 worlds began to tremble, and countless cracks emerged. The earth, mountains, sky, everything was shattering. Before, Luo Feng faced his enemies simply by driving the Star Tower's secret patterns to control his physical body into transforming into the Blood River. Now, he truly controls the Star Tower itself to confront his adversaries. This power. Emperor Qing's expression changed. Upon the appearance of this 9-story tower, it naturally eroded the 3,000 worlds, which then started to disintegrate. This is no ordinary secret treasure. Emperor Qing sensed the terrifying aspect of this treasure. As the Star Tower emerged, it grew larger and larger, vast, majestic. As it grew upon appearing, it naturally caused the collapse of the 3,000 worlds, and it continued to grow, crushing all around. Emperor Qing's 3,000 kill array could no longer be executed. This. Emperor Qing looked up at the 9-story tower with palpitations. This secret treasure must be one forged by primordial life. Within the land of origin, the infinite space is where one could most easily obtain such treasures. Even though they are both beyond God-King level secret treasures, the ones the divine emperors like him forged and the ones Senior Yuan and company casually produced have a great disparity. Senior Yuan and the others had already stepped out of the braided cage. Even a casual creation by them could achieve effects of supreme rules. For instance, reducing all attacks from beings below primordial life by 90%, including soul attacks and all other types. Such rule-based effects are beyond what divine emperors could forge. At this moment, Emperor Qing also felt a sense of supremacy in the rules from the Star Tower, entirely unlike the secret treasures forged by ordinary divine emperors. At this instant, various powers on the land of origin watched this scene from afar. The 9-story tower appeared. Its might had already reached the limits of the land of origin, and there was also a terrifying rule-based erosion, making those who merely witnessed it feel innate fear and despair. What a treasure! All 3 alien clans, seeing it, grew covetous and greedy. It might be a secret treasure refined by Yuan. Pity it's within the land of origin. Within the land of origin, nobody can snatch it. The 3 alien clans also realized this. Meanwhile, the other powerhouses on the land of origin were completely shocked. The power of the galaxy ruler is actually capable of suppressing Emperor Qing? How can this 9-story tower be so terrifying? Emperors and monarchs all felt their hearts tremble. Turns out he didn't exert his full strength when he killed Di Yuan. With this tower, his strength is far too fearsome. Galaxy brother, hurry up and retrieve the secret treasure. Already taking distance, Emperor Qing spoke out immediately. Instantly, the Star Tower merged into the endless blood river and disappeared from sight. The endless blood river then converged into the form of Luo Feng. After sparring with Emperor Qing, Luo Feng confirmed. Emperor Qing could not even scratch his blood river, and only then did Luo Feng publicly display the Star Tower. There are too few on the land of origin worthy of wielding the Star Tower against. Luo Feng also itched for a challenge. Emperor Qing stepped closer to Luo Feng and smiled. With such a talent, Galaxy brother, it is only natural for you to possess a powerful secret treasure left by Senior Yuan. I, too, once received a secret treasure from Senior Yuan, but I have taken it to the outside world. Galaxy brother, be cautious when you bring this 9-story tower to the outside world in the future, Emperor Qing reminded. It can easily become a target for strong individuals of the alien race. Aren't you afraid of it being stolen? Luo Feng asked. Haha, just be careful, Emperor Qing said. There are quite a few secret treasures casually refined by Senior Yuan, such as those that can be exchanged within the infinite space. Places like the Heavenly Pillar Realm and other valuable sites might occasionally see the emergence of secret treasures. Luo Feng understood. Emperor Qing considered his Star Tower as one of those that could be exchanged within the infinite space. The secret treasures exchanged in the infinite space are all refined by primordial life, and some might even be personally crafted by Senior Yuan, Emperor Qing said. Of course, their value varies, with the highly valued costing over 100,000 reward points, and the ordinary ones around 20 to 30,000 reward points. A secret treasure worth over 100,000 reward points, each one would drive the divine emperors mad, Emperor Qing exclaimed. The ones worth 20 to 30,000 reward points are much more common. Luo Feng nodded. Those few treasures in the infinite space worth 100,000 points each could all aid in stepping out of the braided cage. He had never exchanged a secret treasure before, so he wasn't clear on the differences between those of the infinite space and the Star Tower. The Star Tower is not so important to me for combat, but rather for aiding in my cultivation. Luo Feng understood this point well. Comprehending the Star Tower secret patterns greatly benefited his cultivation along the life and death path. Thus, even if he ventured outside the source world, Luo Feng had no plans to take the Star Tower with him. As long as the Star Tower remained in the land of origin, then no one would think of stealing it. Brother Emperor Qing, has any cultivator exchanged for a secret treasure worth over 100,000 reward points? Luo Feng inquired. None from our land of origin, but there are from other source world. Emperor Qing smiled and said, Senior Yuan has left the infinite space in many source worlds. It is commonly acknowledged that 100,000 reward points is a threshold. Every treasure reaching this threshold is invaluable, even potentially helping in stepping out of the braided cage. Sadly, reaching 100,000 reward points is too difficult. Luo Feng agreed. Indeed, it was difficult. He himself also received 100,000 reward points when his spiritual will broke through. But one can't possibly exchange all the reward points for just one treasure. The offers like the special grade inheritance and perfection level inheritance in the infinite space treasure vault are also very attractive. The scarcity of a secret treasure worth at least 100,000 reward points can be imagined. This video will end here.